Who really wrote the 10 Commandments? That was a question I received recently, because we all know the 10 Commandments from the Bible, from the Old Testament, where God gave them to the prophet Moses on Mount Sinai on 2 stone tables as rules that must be followed. But was that really the case? Before we dive deeper, who gave these rules to Moses and who wrote the 10 Commandments? Are these rules really still up to date, and should we abide by them? But first, a warm welcome on my YouTube channel. And if you would like to receive a weekly energy update, feel free to sign up for my newsletter, where I share with you every Sunday an update, what is important, what is coming up, and the link for this newsletter you can find right here below the video. The 10 Commandments are considered by many to be undisputed, right and true. But did God really say that? Have we really received the original text, or was there another version? And was it perhaps deliberately changed? Maybe to manipulate people and make them compliant? Or were the commandments simply misunderstood? At this time and age, we learn more and more to understand that we can only experience what we are able to become aware of it. And this happens through our own filter system. And only what we can understand, we are able to interpret. And this filter system is our belief system. I often talk about it that we all have glasses on, through which we see the world in our own coloring. And the coloration is created because of what you believe in, your belief system. And so we interpret and process information according to what we already know and what we can categorize. And it can then very easily also lead to a wrong interpretation. And perhaps this also happened to the 10 Commandments, that the essence of them was not correctly understood and grasped, or were they consciously falsified? Before we get to that, from whom those commandments came and why, let's take a closer look where the commandments may either be misinterpreted or have been distorted and do not reflect what their original message was. Let's start with the first and second commandment. You shall have no other gods before me. And the second, you shall not make idols. And this is how we find the text in the Bible today. But the original text was in essence another. It was, I am God. I am all that is. Everything comes through me. Everything you can imagine am I. And therefore you cannot have any false gods beside me. Do you feel the difference in the energy of these two statements? What we know from the Bible limits you, and in truth, the original essence of this text is a liberation and expansion of consciousness. The third commandment, you shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. What was the true essence behind this statement? It is about to recognize that you are God, and nothing is above you and all others. Therefore, do not speak ill of yourself or others. Recognize that you are a gift from God. Accept the gift and live it. The fourth commandment: remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Sabbath refers to mostly Sunday, but also to Saturday, so to speak. It is a day when you should rest from work and honor God. In the original text, there was no mention that this is a whole day. Basically, it was mainly about to take time again and again, to pause and to communicate with yourself, to go into a deeper communication, to bring the focus from the outer life back to yourself, to listen to your own inner voice, which is very important, to connect with your own inner source, to connect. This is really important because there you will find guidance and clarity for your life. The fifth commandment: honor your father and your mother. This refers in essence to the recognition in general to your roots and to your past, to your ancestors. We can only truly grow and heal when we recognize everything what has ever happened in our life that was right and good, because it gave you the opportunity to learn something, to grow. That does not excuse the misbehavior of another person, but it is basis for forgiveness. Heal your past and let it go. The sixth commandment, you shall not murder, refers to the fact that we should value all life, value all creatures. No one is above the other. Everything is of equal value, and we should hold the lives of others as sacred as our own, because everything is from God. Everything carries divine consciousness, because there is nothing outside of God. The next commandment, you shall not commit adultery. Well, I think we all know that it is good to follow certain ethical rules and not to put your own needs over the needs and choices of others. But the truth of this commandment is a different one, because it is not about that we are bound until the end of our life to stay in a marriage that not really works, but only on a piece on paper. It means above all to respect the decision of people who have decided for each other to walk a path together in love, not to give up immediately when things get difficult. Learn to be there for each other and to understand that your partner is a mirror that can help you learn, but you are always free and never bound by any rules, bound to stay with a partner because you have made a marriage vows. The next commandment, you shall not steal. If we really learn to understand who we are, then we know that stealing something will not get us anywhere. Because if you do not have what you want, then it is not because that God has given you too little, but mostly it is because that you have created an abundance of lack. And you cannot solve this problem by trying to take something away that is not yours. If you take a closer look and recognize you yourself carry very limiting ideas within yourself, and you will manifest exactly that, namely an abundance of lack. Because the universe always sends you what you order. And to change that, the only thing that will work is to recognize that you create your reality. It is a process of consciousness, to discover your own inner fulfillment and to manifest it on the outer world. And that is what this commandment original expresses. The next commandment. And we will get to that in a moment, who transmitted these commandments to us. The real commandments or recommendations. The next commandment, you shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. Here too we basically find again the one great truth that underlies everything. And to gain advantage by saying false things does not work. You can only harm yourself. And it comes back to you in one way or another way. We also call it karma, and by doing so you will not find happiness and fulfillment. If you really understand the first commandment, or better to say, the first statement, then you know there is actually nothing outside from God. And then, who do you want to lie to? You are basically always lying to yourself. And lies are an expression of not finding your own identity, who you really are. And the one whom you harm the most is yourself. So it is an important thing to become aware of this. The next commandment, you shall not covet your neighbor's wife, is also not the original text, because it is about to understand that not the external outer circumstances determine whether you find inner happiness and fulfillment, but that you have to search for it within yourself. We often try to overcome our own shortcomings, our own inner defenses, to cover up by wishing for something on the outside that reflects exactly what we want, but that does not work and has never worked, and especially in relationships, it does not work. Your partner is always a mirror of yourself. What really gets you ahead is to work on your own self-love. There are no shortcuts. And there is nothing more important than to discover within yourself that you have the power and the strength to create the life that you desire. That is exactly why we are here on earth, to understand this. But not only to understand it, but more to live it and to begin to manifest in a positive way. But now, who made these 10 commandments? Moses received 2 stone tablets on Mount Sinai with those rules, apparently directly from God, so the Bible tells us. But is that really true? Very few people know that these tablets were not made of stone, but of an crystalline material that does not exist on earth. And when you touch these tablets, the text appeared there. What kind of beings gave those information to Moses? were they angels? In truth, Moses was there on Mount Sinai, and he encountered extraterrestrials. Therefore, he was also alone, because such encounters are very special and not really suitable for people who are not yet ready. And these higher dimensional beings came with their spaceship and landed there. Who were they? They were descendants of the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki were an extraterrestrial star race which no longer exists today, as it did then. And the Anunnaki created us humans through a genetic manipulation of the naturally developed Homo erectus, the Neanderthals. And these beings, this star race, looked basically very similar to us humans. And they developed into the Pleiades. And at this time, they recognized very clearly through their own experiences and evolution and their higher perspective what is most important for us humans after Moses asked for guidance. The commandments are in original not commandments, more recommendations that can help us to recognize more who we really are, and they can help us to detach us from all our inner and outer limitations when we know their true essence. These commandments were given to Moses. They were written on crystalline tablets. You can say in an energy form, an energy message. Those tablets were very special, made of a material that did not exist on earth, and they are very high vibrational. These tablets had special powers, which were then placed in the Ark of the Covenant, and nobody was allowed to touch them. But maybe more about that in the next video, so please subscribe to my YouTube channel. These recommendations had a completely different wording and energy than what we know today. And it was not about regulations, but as I said, the content was changed. And basically, all 10 commandments are a derivation of the first commandment. There is nothing outside of God. Understanding you are God, you are a unique individual expression of God. And there are no false gods, for there is only God. And to become worthy of being God is really the true meaning of your life. To live this divine consciousness here on earth and to realize that nothing limits you. Expect your own limiting beliefs. There is no judging God. The worst judge we can have is always ourselves, in that we carry the guilt within us and not let it go. Perhaps even over many lives. God, if you want to call this higher intelligence God, is all that is, and all that is does not punish you in any way. Because you experience your life as a process through which you will recognize what really serves you and what not. We do not need to reject others who have a different opinion, who have different values, because unconditional love that we always hold so dear means that we love unconditionally, without condition. I do not love only those who believe the same as I do and has the same opinion. Everything is allowed to be like it is, and everyone is allowed to be like the person is. Everything returns to its natural place if we allow that everything is like it is, and not to try to exercise power over others. Basically, we cannot take anything away from anyone else, because we are all, always, 100% God. But to realize that means to awaken and to grow into a greater awareness what creation and being God really means. In this sense, please share this video with other like-minded people and live from your inner truth. And I love you.